I just spent over $1,100 at Walmart buying every tire brand they carry. I bought the $65 Douglas All Season, the $130 Goodyear Reliant, and the $190 Goodyear Assurance. Same size, same car, same road. And before this was over, one of them genuinely scared me, and it was not the one I expected. Because here is the thing nobody warns you about. Walmart sells tires that can cost less than half of what you would pay at a dedicated tire shop. People either swear these tires saved them hundreds of dollars, or they say the tires almost got them killed. When I started digging into the real data, the brake tests, the manufacturing dates, and the installation horror stories, I found that both sides are telling the truth, just about different tires. So let's start with the one everyone asks about. Douglas tires, $65 each, about $260 for a full set. Now here is the first thing that blows most people's minds. Douglas tires are made by Goodyear, not some mystery overseas factory with zero accountability. Goodyear has been making tires since 1898. Goodyear trademarked the Douglas name in 1992 through its Kelly Springfield subsidiary. And today those tires roll out of actual Goodyear plants, including one in Union City, Tennessee. You can confirm this for yourself. The letters DOT stamped on the sidewall tell you the week and year the tire was manufactured, and the first two letters after DOT identify the plant. Look it up. It traces right back to Goodyear. So why are they $65 a tire? That is the price question, and the answer is more complicated than most people realize. Before I get into that, I need to tell you what happened when I put these tires through a wet braking test, because that is where the story gets real. Douglas tires mounted, road-soaked, coming in at 60 miles per hour, braking hard, stopping distance, 141 feet. Not catastrophic. Honestly, better than some reviews suggested. Then I swapped to the Goodyear Reliant, Walmart's mid-tier option at around $130 each, and ran the exact same test. 128 feet, 13 feet shorter than the Douglas. For reference, 13 feet at 60 miles per hour is not a small number. That is the length of a full-size pickup truck. Next, I ran the Goodyear Assurance All Season, the premium tier, about $190 at Walmart, the same tire that sells for $280 to $300 at Discount Tire. Same test, 119 feet, 8 feet shorter than the Reliant, 22 feet shorter than the Douglas. So here is the math. Douglas stops your car in 141 feet for $260. Goodyear Assurance stops it in 119 feet for $760. The difference is 22 feet and $500. Whether that trade is worth it depends entirely on what kind of driving you do, where you live, and what happens if something jumps out in front of you on a wet highway. But here is where this gets more interesting and more unsettling, because stopping distance is only half the story. I checked the manufacturing dates on every tire I bought, not the purchase date, the date the rubber was actually made. You find this in the DOT code on the sidewall, 4 digits near the end of the string. The first two numbers are the week, the last two are the year. A tire stamped 0823 was made in the 8th week of 2023. The Douglas tires I bought were 2 years and 2 months old, sitting in a warehouse somewhere before they ended up on my car. The Goodyear Reliant tires were 11 months old. The Assurance tires were made 8 weeks before I bought them. This matters more than most drivers ever consider. Tire rubber is not static. The moment it is made, it starts aging. The plasticizers that keep it flexible and grippy slowly evaporate. The compound hardens. The microscopic structure that determines how the tire bites into wet pavement begins to degrade, even with 0 miles on it. Tire manufacturers and safety experts recommend replacing tires that are 6 to 10 years old, regardless of how much tread is left, because the rubber itself becomes dangerous long before the tread wears out. Now you are probably thinking, 2 years is not close to 6, and you are right. But here is the problem. A 2-year-old tire that has been stored in a hot warehouse is not the same as a 2-year-old tire stored in ideal conditions. Heat accelerates degradation. When Walmart orders Douglas tires in bulk and stocks them at distribution centers across the country, some of those tires sit for a year, 18 months, or more than 2 years before they ever see the inside of a wheel well. So when you compare the Douglas tires stopping in 141 feet against the fresh Assurance tires stopping in 119 feet, you are not just comparing product tiers. Storage and age are part of the equation. You are also comparing how much rubber life has already been used up before you bought them. The Douglas tires might be cheap, partly because they are already partway through their lifespan before they ever hit your car. That makes buying them a real risk. I want to be clear about what Douglas tires actually are, because there is a lot of misinformation online. Some people say they are just rebranded Goodyears. They are not. Douglas tires are manufactured by Goodyear, but they use older tread mold designs, simpler internal construction, and more basic rubber compounds. Goodyear engineered them to hit a price point, not to compete with the Assurance line. Think of it like Toyota and Lexus. Same parent company, same factories, completely different execution and materials. Douglas has a 1-ply sidewall where most mid-range tires have a 2-ply sidewall. That thinness shows up in real life. One owner I came across online hit a curb at 5 miles per hour and watched the sidewall bubble and fail within months. Another driver ran them cross-country and put 25,000 miles on them without a complaint. That variability is real, and it is a problem. Here is what I think is actually happening. Walmart moves Douglas tires at such low margins and such high volume that there is no room to cherry-pick the freshest, most consistent batch. You might pull a tire from a 2024 production run with tight quality control, or you might get one from an older batch that has been sitting in a Phoenix distribution center for 2 summers. The tread compound will be harder, the grip will already be slightly compromised, and you will not know the difference when you hand the guy behind the counter your $65. That is the gamble with Douglas. Now, the Goodyear Reliant is a completely different animal. This is where things got interesting during my 2 weeks of real-world driving. The Reliant is a Walmart exclusive. You cannot buy it anywhere else. Goodyear manufactures it specifically for Walmart as a step above Douglas, but below the Assurance. I have to say, these tires impressed me in ways I did not expect. Dry handling was confident and predictable. Wet traction was genuinely solid, not just passable. Road noise at highway speed was noticeably quieter than the Douglas. For 2 weeks, I drove in rain, on the highway, and in stop-and-go city traffic. The Reliant felt like a real tire, not a budget compromise. Here is the catch. The Reliant has a 65,000-mile treadwear warranty. Decent, but based on real-world owner reports, actual lifespan tends to come in around 50,000 to 55,000 miles under normal commuter use. The Assurance tires have a 65,000-mile warranty too, but with a reputation for lasting closer to 60,000 in the real world. These warranties are essentially decorative paperwork. To actually file a successful claim, you need documented proof of rotation intervals, exact inflation pressures maintained, no modifications to the vehicle, and perfect maintenance records going back to day 1. Miss a single rotation or drive slightly over the recommended pressure window during one season and they will deny you. I have seen people on forums fight these warranty claims for months and lose. Forget the warranty. Look at what the tires actually do. At $130 per tire and roughly 50,000 real miles, the Reliant costs about a penny per mile. The Assurance at $190 and 60,000 miles runs about the same, maybe fractionally more. So on a strict cost-per-mile basis, the Reliant and the Assurance are almost identical. The Assurance just gets you there more comfortably, more quietly, and with 22 more feet of stopping room. That is the math. Whether the math tells you to buy the Reliant or the Assurance depends on your priorities. But both of those decisions fall apart if the installation goes wrong. This is where Walmart's Tire Center becomes the wild card that nobody talks about enough. I had all 3 sets installed at the same Walmart on different days with different technicians. The Douglas installation was fine, balanced correctly, lug nuts torqued to spec, tires seated properly, no issues. The Assurance installation was also clean. I watched the tech use a torque wrench for the final tightening, which honestly surprised me. No scratches on the wheels, valve stems properly seated, tire pressure set correctly. The Reliant installation was not clean. One tire was mounted backward. It is an asymmetric tread design. There is a designated inside and outside, and it is printed right on the sidewall. The tech put it on the wrong way around. I caught it in the parking lot before I drove off. If I had not looked, I would have driven home on a backward tire, which affects wet performance, handling response, and tread wear pattern. I made them fix it. They did. No argument. But the point stands. This happens. And it happens because Walmart's tire techs are not certified mechanics. They receive a brief orientation, and then they are working on your car. Some locations have been running the same experienced guys for years, and those shops do excellent work. Others are rotating through new hires every few months, and the consistency evaporates. The exact same Walmart chain, wildly different quality control depending on which store and which shift. Here is what multiple forums full of real owners confirm. Over-torqued lug nuts that destroyed wheel studs. Underinflated tires that triggered TPMS lights immediately. TPMS sensors damaged during mounting. One guy had a tire fall off at 35 miles per hour because the lug nuts were not tightened at all after a rotation. Walmart paid for the damage, but the car still nearly crashed. These are not isolated incidents from one bad store. These are documented patterns across multiple locations going back years. That does not mean your local Walmart Tire Center is going to botch your car. Plenty of people have had completely professional installations. But it does mean you cannot assume the job was done right just because they handed back your keys and told you you were good to go. So here's what I learned after buying, testing, and driving every tire tier Walmart sells. Douglas. Tires are not junk, but they are not a deal either. They are a gamble. The rubber is older than you think. The sidewalls are thin, and the stopping distance was the worst of the 3 options. If your car is a dedicated around-town beater, you live somewhere with mild weather, and you check the manufacturing date code before you buy, they will probably get you through a couple of years without incident. But you need to actually check the DOT code. If the date shows anything more than a year old, ask if they have fresher stock. If they do not, think hard about whether $65 is actually saving you money. The Goodyear Reliant is the sweet spot. This is what I would put on my own daily driver if I were buying tires at Walmart today. It stops shorter, feels more confidence-inspiring in the rain, came in fresher rubber, and the cost per mile math makes sense. The fact that it is a Walmart exclusive sometimes makes people skeptical, but Goodyear engineered this tire specifically for people who want a real all-season tire at a real-world price. At $130 per tire, with a set installed by Walmart for $18 a corner, you are looking at roughly $590 fully mounted for 4 tires. Show me a comparable tire anywhere that beats that. The Goodyear Assurance is the premium move. 22 feet more stopping room. a quieter cabin, slightly longer real-world tread life. And if you buy it at Walmart, you are paying around $190 per tire versus $280 to $300 at Discount Tire. It is the same exact tire. Walmart just does not mark it up the same way. So if you were going to buy the Assurance anyway, Walmart is the right place to buy it. You are saving $80 to $110 per tire without giving up anything on the tire itself. As for installation, here are the things you need to do every single time, no exceptions. Before you hand over your keys, photograph your wheels from multiple angles. Note any existing scratches, so you have proof of what was there before. When they bring the car back out, check the tire pressure on every corner against the specification on your door jamb sticker. Do not trust that they got it right. Check that each tire is mounted with the correct side facing out. Asymmetric tires will have the word outside on the outward-facing sidewall. Verify that. And if you own a torque wrench, come back and retorque your lug nuts yourself before your first highway drive. Walmart's policy says final tightening with a torque wrench, but not every tech follows that. That is it. Those 5 steps cost you 10 minutes and could save your wheels, your studs, or your life. Walmart tires can be one of the best values in the automotive world, but only if you understand the full picture, check the manufacturing date, pick the right tier, and verify the installation yourself. Douglas is the gamble. The Reliant is the deal. The Assurance is the premium play at a discount price. Drop a comment below. Are you running Walmart tires right now? Tell me what you bought, what date code you found on the sidewall, and how they have held up. I will be down there reading every single one.